Hi guys, I'm John Brooker with MUSC Sustainability and Recycling. Thank you for coming today. I just want to give a quick intro before Debbie will come up and talk about seafood and health. Just a quick overview of what we do. Our office works on initiatives in recycling and waste management, energy and water, food, transportation, climate, and green building. And we have events like this every single month. Most of you guys, I think, signed up for our Green Team email list, but we're also in social media and Yammer.
Okay, guys. Well, all right. So, happy to be here and get to talk about this and have this conversation because it is super important, and especially for the fact that how perfect is this? It is October and it is National Seafood Month, so perfect time to celebrate together and make sure you're getting your fill of our locally sourced seafood coming from the Southeast region. I'm excited to have this conversation all together. So I'm not exactly sure, since I missed the very beginning with Debbie, but just talking a little bit about what exactly is sustainable seafood and what is sustainable. And here we've got a very long, kind of boring, wordy definition. I'm not even going to make you read it if you don't want to. The point is, ultimately, it's fish for the future. We want to be thinking about the best practices that we as main leaders on this planet can do to try to help maintain this fishery, these fish and shellfish populations for the future. If we don't do that, if we don't take that responsibility, unfortunately, we will not continue to have this available to us later. But just a couple really quick fast facts thinking about seafood. Overall, across the globe, there's about 160 billion pounds of seafood is commercially harvested every single year. In the US alone, it's almost 10 billion of those pounds. That was a stat from back in 2016. But in the United States, we consumed about half of that in 2016. So what the heck happened to that other almost 5 billion pounds? Unfortunately, a lot of it leaves our country and goes to a whole bunch of other places because we don't really have the means for processing or working up that seafood that people are actually willing to get their hands a little bit dirty. Not everybody is like that, but there's a lot of people. Crazy stat, though, is to know that more than 90% of the seafood that we eat within the United States is imported. So thinking about that, the fact that so much of it is not even from our country, let alone our region. So a big part, what I want to be able to talk a little bit more about is the Southeast regional fisheries, things that we have in the South Atlantic. Unfortunately, that imported seafood really overshadows regional and local because of how much money it's costing to maybe buy that frozen shrimp product at whatever grocery store you go to. Maybe not taking that moment to go visit the Tarvins out at Shem Creek and giving that opportunity to those local seafood purveyors. In our area, we have some incredibly heavily regulated fisheries, and that's all under the South Atlantic Fisheries Management Council, which we're lucky we have. The main office is right up in North Charleston. So through Good Catch, I've got a really strong relationship with that group. So South Atlantic Fisheries are all North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia, East Coast Florida, and that's what we talk a lot about through Good Catch. Mentioned about the supporting the local economy. If we don't do this, we will not have the Tarvins, we will not have the Miss Paula shrimp, we will not have the fishermen, the oystermen, the shrimpers any longer. We're going to lose that working waterfront that we are known for having across our state and across our region. Unfortunately, everything then just becomes that imported option. The other cool thing to think about, and it's a big topic in everybody's mind right now, it's thinking about limiting our carbon footprint. Talking about how far our seafood or our produce or our meat or the metal to make your dishwasher, how far that has to travel. If we can reduce that distance, or in this case, the food miles it has to go, we'll really try to reduce that carbon footprint. When I think about also going to the places where the particular seafood or produce is known for, like this summer I went to Maine. I ate so much Maine lobster, it was amazing. But I'm not looking for Maine or New England lobster while I'm in Charleston. I'm going to be looking for local South Carolina shrimp or local Southeast regional shrimp. Big difference to just be aware of. So, for Good Catch, got a huge promotion to increase that awareness and educate the community on responsibly harvested local seafood. In addition to that, we're also promoting those businesses that are either serving or providing those local seafood. So we have everything from the fishermen, oystermen, shrimpers, and a lot of the restaurants across the state. So it's cool to remember thinking about what we're actually picking when you're going to the different purveyors or you're going to the grocery store or the restaurant. Every time of year has a really good catch, but we gotta be flexible. Okay, okay, thanks guys. All right, I don't exactly mean like, the cool rhythmic gymnastics. I'm actually talking about the different seasons for our seafood. We need to think about this seasonality, and a big part of this reason, or the reason for this, is thinking about the spawning seasons for different animals, or the migratory patterns and locations for different animals. The seasonality all is determined under the South Atlantic Fisheries Management Council, or NOAA, or DNR. They are telling us when these times of year are available, or when the different seafood is available for us to be getting. And say we catch all of the mahi at a certain amount of time, or we catch all of the red snapper is a great example right now. They set an annual catch limit. If we hit that early, well, we don't get any more, because they're really trying to make sure that we're not taking more than we should be and making sure that we have that fish for the future. So our good catch partners, I mentioned, are a number of purveyors, caterers, restaurants, and they're broken down then for our restaurants into different levels. We've got our basic partners who are serving 30% or more of their annual seafood inventory coming from local Southeast regional sources. Gold and platinum partners are 50% or more coming from local region. But on top of that, our platinum partners have also signed on to our single-use plastic reduction. That's a conversation for everyone, thinking about how much we end up using at the different restaurants. So to be a platinum partner, there's 5 standards they had to meet. One is plastic straws are by request only. I know it is a very big topic of conversation. We're not telling people you can't have it, but think about if you really need it. No styrofoam. Plastic utensils for to-go-ware are by request only. Plastic bags are not used at all, and recycling is actually followed, which is unfortunate. Still love. Hey, judgment free. Everybody's making their own personal choices. These are just things that the restaurants have chosen to do. But the recycling has been a major topic of conversation recently in Charleston County alone. I know it's been a really difficult thing. There's a lot of stuff with the MRF, and I cannot think, what is the MRF? I'm blanking on what it stands for. Thank you. So with the process of rebuilding that or building that, and hopefully getting people on board to actually follow proper recycling regulations, it's been a little bit more of a challenge than I ever would have expected. But why do we care so much then talking about plastics? So here's just a really quick image here of some little guys. We've got the microplastics in some of these copepods, these little marine critters. So we're finding teeny tiny, itty bitty pieces of plastic. But that seems so small and people want to look past it. But we can look at the albatross that has all the plastic in its belly, and one of the rainbow runners that had been caught by the Five Gyres Institute on a big mission across the ocean. All that plastic came right out of their guts. So when we start to see that biomagnification and the accumulation, if we're eating this stuff too, ultimately it could be affecting us in the long run. And we want to make sure we're not affecting those fish populations. If they're all getting this in their bellies, it's not going to be a safe or healthy environment for them. We're ruining that fish for the future. So a couple things just to remember that really important, your choice is making a difference. You have that opportunity and the choice to dine with good catch partners. Asking before your order when you're at the restaurant. Finding out where's your seafood coming from. If the server doesn't know, they should be able to go to the chef and ask. If the chef doesn't know, find another choice. Hopefully there's something else on there. Being flexible. Maybe shrimp isn't in season, or maybe it's smaller shrimp because of the time of year. Maybe you try the triggerfish instead of the salmon. There is no local South Carolina salmon, okay? I promise you, if you see local fresh salmon on a menu in South Carolina, you're being lied to, because it doesn't exist. Take my word. Take the picture and email it to me, especially if it's at a good catch partner, then we have a problem. Requesting no single-use plastics. It was one of the weirdest things to finally get comfortable going to the store or going to the restaurant, you sit down, you order your water, or they bring water. No straw. Now you can't stop me. I'm probably that person that's like, oh, come on, who brought her? But really, it's something that just becomes second nature. It's like ordering your, like with lemon, without lemon, same kind of thing. And supporting conservation organizations, having these conversations with places like the South Carolina Aquarium, with the zoos, all the places across the country, being able to talk about this and supporting the research that we're all trying to do to increase our conservation awareness. And if you want to do all of these things, just so happens I have an event next week. We're doing a Good Catch dinner. It's going to be hosted by Snob at the Hall Signature event. And it's actually a big collaborative dinner celebrating National Seafood Month. And it's going to be with the chef from Snob, chef from Macintosh, chef actually from Holy City Brewing's Kitchen is a Good Catch partner. We've got a partner from the Glass Onion and the dessert chef from Hall Signature Events. So it is an incredible opportunity to come in. Everybody that's part of it is all there supporting this local cause and having this conversation all together, talking about the seafood initiative locally. And with that, I am excited that I got the opportunity to come here again. Michael is in the house, so be careful. But it's exciting. But I'm excited to be able to have these conversations, whether it's today or another time. Please feel free to reach out. I enjoy talking about this, and if I don't know an answer to, I'm going to take that as a challenge, and we're going to work together to figure it out. So if you do have questions, I guess we're going to be here to chat some more, but thank you guys so much. Thanks. Oh, and I have pocket guides with the little what's in season for you to be flexible.
Nice. Awesome. We'll bring up Cindy real quick, and then we'll open it up to questions.
Perfect. Okay, perfect.
I'm not sure how to do this, but I did want to make a couple of comments first off before looking. I have my website up there, so because I don't have any clever graphics for you to show you, but I did want to address a couple of things that Andrea mentioned. And I'm, by the way, Cindy Tarvin. We own Tarvin Seafood. We are located at the Wando Dock on Shem Creek. We have 2 shrimp trawlers, the Miss Paula and the Carolina Breeze. We also work with 3 other trawlers that dock there. We sell probably 70% of our business is to restaurants. And then we also sell a little bit to wholesalers, and we do retail marketing. Also, we sell to anyone that comes in. But we grew up doing restaurants for our business. But what I wanted to mention is even some of the seafood businesses are trying to be more environmentally sensitive, and so to that end, it's really hard to get somebody to take shrimp with ice in something that's not a plastic bag. But we do use biodegradable T-shirt bags or the handle bags. So we've at least found a way that we can try and make a small difference. And the other thing I wanted to mention, because it's come up about all the different fish choices, is even though we live in a place where you would think you could go anywhere down to the docks and get all kinds of fresh fish, that is not true in Charleston, which is remarkable. There is one fisherman that works out of Shem Creek, Mark Marhefka with Abundant Seafood, that catches a lot of these other fishes. One. And he's constrained by all of the various limitations and quotas on fish. The man that owns the Wando Dock is also a bottom fisherman, and he targets mackerel for the most part. Much of his fish goes to New York because there's just not that much of a market. Part of the reason is because there's nowhere to sell it. There is not a fish market like you think of Fulton Fish Market in Seattle or something. There is not one around here, despite the fact that Charleston is big enough it could probably support one. But I just wanted to mention those couple of things that I thought of as Andrea was talking. So we have, I'm not going to be very good at this. So What we do is we sell shrimp. We sell as many sizes as we are catching. We sell fresh shrimp for the most part. When we cannot get fresh shrimp, we rely on our freezer boat, which is that boat that's in the picture, the Carolina Breeze. It has a flash freezer on board. So as soon as shrimp is landed, it is flash frozen in like 50-pound bags and stored in the hold. The hold of the Carolina Breeze can take 20,000 pounds of shrimp. It's only done that once. We've owned it since 2015. We're getting ready to offload it tomorrow, and they have, I don't know, maybe 12,000 pounds. When you have that much at one time, you end up putting it on a truck, which means it goes someplace else. It's taken to a processing house. So you effectively get the lowest possible price for that shrimp. We try not to do that any more than is absolutely necessary, because it's, when people worry about, well, has this shrimp been frozen on the Carolina Breeze, it's been under the water like 10 minutes before it's been frozen, and then it thaws really quickly. So we use that shrimp, we'll thaw it and refreeze it, which works fine, and we'll refreeze it in small quantities for restaurants and individuals that can't get to it immediately. But when it's available, like now, we're in the season for fresh shrimp, we try and have it every day. We try and have medium shrimp with the heads on or heads off, and large shrimp with the heads on or heads off. One of our goals has been to support the fishermen. And by our, I mean Tarpon Seafood. We tend to pay the fishermen a little bit more than has been the case in the past. So consequently, we are a little bit more expensive. But we try to have a variety of sizes and price points for everybody. But when somebody tells me that, Carolina Seafood up in McClellanville is, I can get the same product for $3.50, and why are you charging me $4.50? I say, well, I'm probably paying the boat $4. So I can't very well sell it to you for $3.50. So if you're buying it for $3.50, what do you think the people that caught it are getting? They're the ones expending the fuel, and crewmen on a shrimp boat and all fishing boats, they're paid a percentage of the value of the catch. So on a day when our boat goes out and they catch not very much, let's say 100 pounds at, we'll say $4 a pound. So they have a total catch value of $400 for the day. If you're the crewman on that and you're getting 10%, how do you feel about that for working from 4 in the morning to 4 in the afternoon? Are you happy with that pay? So that's why we try and pay more, and we do have a base salary as well, for a base daily rate. So we run things a little bit differently because we did not grow up, my husband and I did not grow up in this business. Our son, who's now 7, 8, something like that, he runs the Miss Paula. He was a student at Trident Academy, which is a school for kids with learning disabilities, and we realized early on that his skills were not in the classroom, but he is a very different person on a boat. He's unbelievably gifted boat handler and fisherman, and started shrimping when he was 12. So that Miss Paula, that is his college education. So we got that boat when he would have been a college-age student or a little older, because we knew he would be making his way on the water. And after getting involved in that, we realized that, number one, you can't get by with just one boat, probably. And just catching the shrimp is only part of the deal with being a shrimper. You have to have someplace to sell it. In days gone by, there were many fish houses on Shemp Creek, processing plants, boat yards. That is no longer the case. So on about the second day of his first full season, he had like 3,000 pounds on board and nobody wanted to buy it. It became apparent that someone was going to have to deal with getting rid of the shrimp that came in on that boat. And that someone became me, because you do things for your kids that you would never do for anyone else. So that was kind of the birth of our company. The Miss Paula is named for the teacher that introduced our son Vasa to shrimping. Her name is Paula Urbano, and he didn't have a wife or a child or girlfriend or at that point, and so he wanted to name the boat for the teacher that inspired him. So he's still running that boat. And then a few years ago, we got to know the business a little better, and we realized how difficult it is to keep to have shrimp in times when there is none. So my husband felt like we needed a freezer boat that, as I said, flash freezes the shrimp and stores it in the hold. He found one with a captain that is from Mount Pleasant. He's been a long-time shrimper, and we purchased the Carolina Breeze. And so that boat travels between Pamlico Sound in North Carolina and Cape Canaveral in Florida, and they follow the shrimp. So when we're not catching something, or we're not catching a size that chefs in particular want, we will often go drive with a refrigerated truck to wherever the Carolina Breeze is working, put 5,000 or 10,000 pounds in the truck, and bring it back here and work with that, in addition to the fresh catch. So anyway, we do have a community-supported fishery that we are not doing this year because it's been such a terrible shrimp year. So won't really talk about that too much, but it is, you pre-purchase your shrimp and then you come and get it, but we don't have it right now. So people always ask about size. Generally speaking, shrimp are sold by the number of shrimp per pound. The bigger the number, the smaller the shrimp. And around here, we catch two types of shrimp, brown shrimp and white shrimp. The brown shrimp are in decline, have been for years. They are our summertime shrimp, and they tend to be much smaller. In the spring and fall, we catch white shrimp. And everybody has a personal preference which they like. I cannot tell the difference, but some people say they can. So we generally catch shrimp that go from being pretty small, like a 50, 60 count without the head, is how you determine the size usually. And the largest we catch around here are 21, 25, or 16, 20. We call them tails, meaning shrimp without their heads. Typically 21, 25 is the biggest we get. And around Cape Canaveral in the winter, they'll get larger ones. So when people come to the dock and say, I want a medium shrimp, like a 21 count. I'm like, well, that's really big. But then it's really hard to visualize without seeing it, because people sometimes see what we have and they'll say, oh, those aren't so small. And I say, well, no, they're really not. But anyway, that's how we sell them. I'm trying to think if there's anything else that might be interesting to show you about that's on the website. This is all, our website is, oh yeah, this does remind me of something important. Our website has a lot of information. We are trying to make it a little more useful with recipes and a newsletter and stuff like that. But I have somebody that now does that for me since I don't have time. One of the other things about our company that I don't know how other people do it, but it's really important to us that we have shrimp that does not have a preservative on it. Wild-caught shrimp often is dipped, meaning it's treated with a preservative. There are two types. One you don't have to tell anybody about, it's called Everfresh, and the other type you do have to tell people about, or at least the people you sell it to. I don't know that you have to identify it in a restaurant, but one of the reasons we are such fans of freezing is because it's really the only option to preserve shrimp without a preservative. So when we get shrimp in, fresh shrimp, the next day that it comes in, we keep the heads on, then we take the heads off, and we'll sell the tails for about 2 more days, and at that whole time we're freezing as we go, because we believe that it's the very best thing that we can do to keep the product in nice quality. Many people will tell you they don't use a preservative when they do, but one type, not the Everfresh, but the sodium tripolyphosphate or something, some people have an anaphylactic reaction to it. So it's important to know if your shrimp has been treated with that. And like I said, sometimes they'll tell you, sometimes they won't. that's sort of our bottom line, is that our shrimp are not treated with anything. And very occasionally it has happened where I had to purchase shrimp from another shrimper, usually because they got caught breaking the law and DNR then looks for somebody to take all the shrimp they had on the boat. And I have had to find a place that if it had been dipped, I've had to find someone that would buy it because I really can't. So, but there are plenty of places that will. And it's not to say it's bad, but it's a bottom line for us. So, when you purchase shrimp, it should not have a strong odor, period. It should not smell fishy. It should not smell like ammonia. It should just smell, it should sort of remind you of the ocean when you smell it. And that's the best way to determine freshness. And I'd be happy to answer questions. And I brought some cards if anybody wants